Hi, so this video is about when we suffer from a lack of motivation or a dip in motivation as an artist. And let's face it, it's the best job in the world, but we're still human, so we still have those periods from time to time where we experience a real kind of loss of mojo. So I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to deal with that and move forwards through it. My name's Amanda Heath. I'm the owner of Thriving Artist Business School, for those of you that don't know me. So let's get into it right away. It's totally natural, first of all, as I said, to experience these highs and lows, even when we're working on the same collection or in the same studio. Our external circumstances may not have changed, but one day we can be full of beans, and then the next day we can wake up and just have zero motivation or inspiration to move forwards. So the first thing to note is it's completely normal. It's just part of being human. But how do we actually move through those periods, and why do they happen? The first thing I always check is, am I in alignment with what I'm doing, the project I'm working on, my goals, etc. Because with the best will in the world, you won't be excited and you won't want to move forwards with things and explore them and get curious about them if they're not in alignment with what you want to be doing. So an example of that, if you are creating pet portraits and they make great money and it's fantastic, but deep down you have this real yearning to make bright, abstract, large-scale canvases, then yes, you may have a lot of work on with the pet portraits, but it's not going to inspire you and it's not going to make you jump out of bed in the morning. So check, first of all, are you doing things because you think you should be doing them or because they bring the money in? Now, obviously, there's a fine balance with that sometimes. Instead, try to ask yourself, what really lights me up? What do I want to be doing in, 3-6 months' time? Or how can I make this particular project, if I have to do it, how can I make it more interesting and appealing? And similarly, in terms of goals, if you don't have any goals, then you're kind of just waking up every day and going through the motions. And sometimes it's difficult to say, well, why am I doing this? What am I hoping to achieve? And if your goals are clear enough and they're strong enough and compelling enough, then that often is enough motivation in itself to get you out of bed and get going. So check on a project on an individual level, is this exciting to me, or am I just working on the wrong thing? And then check on a bigger scale in terms of your overall goals. Have I got something that I'm working towards, that I have in mind, that really kind of motivates me to improve and to go forward? So check those 2 things first, because just to give you an example, I don't know if you remember when you were at school, like every day when the alarm went off, it was like, oh no, school again, and it was all mundane and not very exciting. But the one day you had a school trip planned, you remember it, you jumped out of bed at like 6:30, an hour earlier than normal. You were fully dressed by 7, breakfast, and you were waiting at the door, raring to go, because it was something different. It was something interesting and something unusual, and you were looking forward to it. So it's about having something that you're actually looking forward to doing, like I said, either short-term or long-term with those goals. The second point, or the second thing, is sometimes it's, as I said, it's totally natural to lack in motivation, and we just have to give ourselves a kick up the backside and get going. Because it's just like any other job. You don't wake up in an office job and go, do you know what? I don't really have the motivation today. I don't think I'm going to go in. But sometimes when you're an artist and you are responsible for going into the studio, creating collections, and you're your own boss, we can think, oh, I'm going to just wait for that inspiration. And the truth is, sometimes it just doesn't come. We have to go into the studio, we have to commit to that time and just get started. Even if it's what we consider a waste of a day. You just go in, you scribble, you mix paint. It's never, ever, ever a waste of a day. Those things sometimes just kind of break the barriers in terms of starting it. Okay, and that lack of motivation sometimes is just procrastination. It's just, I don't want to get started. And a little trick I used to use a while ago when I kind of got out of the habit of exercise and I was like, I'm going to have to start doing things again. I'm going all squishy. I used to set my alarm in the morning and say to myself, right, I'm going to wake up I'm going to roll the yoga mat out and I'm going to just do 5 sun salutations. And at the end of those sun salutations, which is like a full body move, if I don't want to do any more, then I'm not going to. That's it. At least I moved my body. And 9 times out of 10, every morning, roll the mat out, did the 5 salutations. And by the time I got to the end, I was kind of in the groove a little bit then. So I just wanted to carry on and maybe did 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. But if I'd have sat and thought, oh gosh, I've got to get up now and do 25 minutes exercise, I wouldn't have even done it. I wouldn't have started. So sometimes it's just tricking your mind into getting started, and then you'll just naturally progress. And you must have known that yourself when you're about to start, particularly a new collection, and you think, oh God, what do I do? What do I start? I'll do it tomorrow. And you have to really make yourself start. But when you do, then you get so engrossed in it, and like 3-4 hours later, you actually don't want to leave the studio. So sometimes it is literally just a case of giving yourself a kick up the backside and getting started. The third tip is to trick yourself into thinking that you are playing. Because sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to create these masterpieces that we don't actually, the fear kind of almost stops you starting. So when I go through a phase like that, I just think, right, I'm going to go in and play. I'm not creating anything at all that is going to be saleable. And sometimes I even go a step further and do it on really rubbish paper so that I know it's not going to be for sale and I'm just playing around and practicing. And sometimes that letting go, that practicing, that freedom, that kind of sense of play, and oh, I don't care if it goes wrong, is brilliant, and it kind of re-sparks that motivation and that excitement again. So trick your mind into thinking that you are playing and take all that pressure off to create something, jaw-dropping, this kind of masterpiece. So a lot of this, in terms of motivation, is about energy and maintaining and managing your energy. If it drops, which is totally human, then just find a way of lifting it. Okay, and just to recap, it's either making sure you're excited by what you're working on and it's in alignment with where you want to be, because if it is, you don't need any motivation. You're just literally chomping at the bit to get started. So that's number 1, recap. Number 2 is to just commit to getting started. Even if you say, right, I'm going to go into the studio, or I'm going to get my things out and I'm going to do half an hour. That's it. Once you get started, the chances are you won't want to stop. And number 3 is tricking yourself into playing. And if you notice, these are all about kind of lightening your energy as much as possible, because it's a huge part of being an artist. And if all those fail, I have a couple of kind of, things that I pull out of the bag, and that is literally just put some music on and jump around or dance or sing or go for a walk. Anything at all that literally gets your body moving and gets that energy circulating. If you do that for even sometimes 5-10 minutes, you can feel a very, very different shift in your energy, and then all of a sudden you're motivated to get started on that project. And also another thing is Pinterest boards. Even though sometimes with a Pinterest board you can get a little bit carried away and start that self-comparison, which if you tend to do that, scrap the Pinterest board idea. But sometimes if I'm lacking motivation for something and I gather together a Pinterest board, put pins on it, get inspiration, sometimes that can really motivate me to move forwards as well. So I hope you found these useful. We all lack motivation sometimes and we just don't know where that mojo has gone. It just poof, disappears. But those are 3 or more tips on how to get that motivation back and how to manage your energy. But that's all from me for now. If you haven't seen my free masterclass, then click on the link somewhere around this video and have a watch of that as well. It has more information in there for you. And I will see you again very soon.